Okay, so Pavel, nice to meet you. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate this exchange as an investor very much, as you know. It's very important for us to have this exchange and know the people behind. Maybe you can introduce yourself and the Bondster B2B platform in a few sentences to our audience for the start in this exciting exchange.
Okay, so thank you also for the invitation. Nice to meet you as well. So firstly, if I start with me as a person talking about Bondster, my name is Pavel Klema. I'm a CEO of Bondster, and in my shortly briefly in my history, I am in the financial industry like for my whole career. I used to work for a non-banking financial institution like PROFITABILITY. I used to work there in collection department. Firstly, I used to work in the collection department in Romania, Bulgaria, and developing in those markets. Before I joined Bondster, I used to be CEO for like 2.5 years of this non-banking financial institution, which is like third biggest in the Czech market. In the past, I also worked for Airbank, which is one of the biggest Czech banks, Czech-owned banks, owned by PPF Group on the Czech market, and some other experience in collection industry like EOS KSI, which is a German company. So that's my experience. And about Bondster, I would say it's a investing platform. It's not a crowd lending platform as some of the investors sometimes think that it is like this. We are offering to our investors already disbursed loans, already scored ones, already approved ones. So I think for the beginner investors, it's a much easier way to understand and to pick which investment they would go for, because it's kind of a double check, because the loan originator is scoring the client, the end client, the debtor, and we are kind of scoring. We will talk about it probably during our interview. Yeah. We are scoring this loan originator. So it's kind of a double check of what is on the platform. And of course, the main interest of Bondster is to provide as safe investment for our investor as possible from this point of view. So that's it.
Yeah, I believe most people that are watching this interview right now know Bondster already, and I just wanted to give this as an intro in the interview. But let's continue with the next question. And as you know, I was one of the early investors of Bondster, also because I knew Jana pretty well personally. But why did it take so much time after Jana left as a CEO to find you as new CEO? That was some kind of suspicious to me as an investor, why it took so much time.
Mm-hmm. It was, the process was in the way that there was a person who the shareholder wanted to become a CEO after Jana, but within like a few months after that, after sometimes seeing him working and so on, the decision was not to confirm him as a CEO. So that's why it looked from the outside world that it was not possible to find a new CEO, but there was a guy who the shareholder wanted to be a CEO, but it was not accepted. And then I stepped in because I started with Bondster some cooperation from November last year. We can talk about it furthermore, but after that, that guy just was quitted with the company. Then we decided that I can be the one and I can be the CEO of Bondster. So that's why I stepped in and completely overtook the company. So that's why it looked from the outside world like this, but there was another guy. He was not announced, and also I took a few weeks to get in, to be able to held in these interviews and to be able to speak for Bondster like this.
Okay, understand. As you know, it's always very important for me to have these exchanges in private investor. I do this with like all platforms that I have a direct contact to the CEO. So we meet the first time today. Yeah. So thank you very much for that. And but I believe we will have a continuous exchange also in the next time, and then we can also make maybe another interview where we go deeper into this or that question. Also, if there are maybe some community questions for the exchange. So also the people who are watching this interview can comment below, and then I will have another time with you and go back to these questions. So maybe let's continue to the next question. You already mentioned some shareholders in the background. For me, it's also very important as a private investor to understand the background of a company, to know the owners. Maybe you can give us some first information about the owners and the owner structure of Bondster.
Like Bondster is like 100% owned by a company called CEP Private Equity, but like go furthermore after some person, it's this company is owned by Mr. Valeš's family. It's a family business. And like to say the UBO is Mr. Václav Valeš. Anyway, who I'm in connection with are the other members of the Valeš family. It's his son and his wife, and I'm in like a daily connection with them. Okay. Or working with them. So I would say if we want to talk about like real people, not about companies, it's the Valeš family. But the 100% owner is the CEP private equity company.
Okay, understand. Maybe also when we know each other better and in the following years, we can maybe have a meeting with them as well, or exchange would be very interesting. Maybe we can arrange something sometime. Yeah.
Sure.
Then let's get to some more critical questions or tougher questions that I have. I already sent several messages and emails to you, as you might have in mind, regarding the terms and conditions. There is stated a fee of 1% for investments in general. After my request on that, I got a written statement, I think it was from you or some from the team, that this will be only charged for investments in Czech crowns, not for investments in euro. But what I don't really understand, to make it as a trustable platform and terms and conditions, why don't you put this in the terms and conditions?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Look, there was the last change announced of terms and conditions announced in January this year. Anyway, this condition about €1 fee was there for history, because I was asking the people here. Because I was, of course, accepting all those terms and conditions before they went live, and there was no change in this. So it is a historical thing. Anyway, you're correct, and right now, as we are in a testing environment with our secondary market, and we are going to go live with secondary market within weeks. We have to also go to our investors with the new terms and conditions, and this condition will be changed, and it's already approved that this 1% fee will be out of the terms and conditions. So it was not kind of intention to do it. So if it's a historical thing, we have an agreement that we will change it. So within next week, when the secondary market with its all new terms and conditions will go out, this 1% fee for euro investments will be out of it. So.
But you can approve also right now in this interview that you will not charge this 1% on
sure.
euro investments.
Sure.
And you never charged it at least,
sorry. That's the reason why we are putting it out. There was it was let's say kind of from the past to have that possibility if the market react that this fee will be applicable. If not, we will not applicate it. So right now we are not going to take any action to do it, and also to confirm it for you within weeks. The new terms and conditions will go out, and this fee will be out of it.
Okay, so confirmed also from you as a CEO. And did you ever charge it for the Czech crown investments?
Yeah, for Czech crowns investments, it is charged. Yes, sure.
And it will continue. Okay.
Yeah. Just to make it clear, for Czech investment, it's this 1% is charged, and it's charged for the whole history, but it is not charged for any euro investment, and it hasn't been charged for any euro investment in the past. So that's why we are to change it, and we will change in this way. So for Czech investment, it's going to be 1%. For euro investment, it's going to be 0.
Okay, thank you very much. I will also make a screenshot of these terms and conditions for the viewers that they can follow up. And also you have this fee for outgoing payments, but I think it's not for the first payment in a month. It's only if you have like more than 2 or something.
Yeah, this is only like I would call it like kind of a safe break or something like that, because of course we are charged from the bank for some fees and so on. So if it's 1, 2 withdrawings from your account, from your virtual account, it's of course for free. There's no problem. But if there is someone who will make whatever 10, 20 withdrawings within a frame of 1 month, then of course the costs for us, we will feel it from our bank. So that's why we are why we put it this condition into the terms and condition. That's the only thing. So it's kind of a safe break to motivate the investors to do it 1 time, 2 times. I don't think that in the future, if someone do it like 3 times, that we will somehow hunt it and search for that. But it's only in these like corner cases.
Yeah, and it's an amount of 50 Czech crowns. So how much is this in euro?
50 crowns is like 2 euros.
2 euros for a withdrawal. Okay, if it exceeds too much, I get you. But okay, yeah, I mean, I can understand that as you have a small margin on Bondster, I believe, because you pay better interest rate than most other platforms on the same loans of the same loan originators, which makes it very attractive for me. And I think for me, the idea is also that you make it fair, that you don't charge this additional costs on all investors, that you only charge it on the ones that make these additional costs. Yeah, so this makes also sense for me. Yeah. Okay, so I think we covered that. Yeah, I just wanted to state that this 1% would have been really a lot, because, for example, my Swiss broker makes 0.1% on the portfolio, so it would be 1%. I think it's really a lot. Yeah, but you don't charge it, so it's okay. So next question I have here is, can you tell us more about your due diligence and recovery department? And I made it a bit critically. Do you think you can compete like a big player like Mintos, with all the lawyers and the experience, or maybe you do even a better job?
Yeah. Okay. So in general, about the due diligence process and the recovery process, for the due diligence, it's of course we're completing and collecting the data from the onboarding loan originator. We are going into quality and also a qualitative and quantitative analysis. Our risk department is also looking into the regional regulations, searching for the portfolio development, the default rates, also the completely the scoring process of the debtor. So all this is a part of the due diligence, getting some points, and then the result is if we are going to allow this loan originator on our platform, and with what exposure limit. So we are setting up the exposure limits for each loan originator to be safe for our investors. And also then we are monitoring the performance of the portfolio. They are these loan originators, what they are offering to our investors. And within this, we are then, of course, changing these exposure limits. We can lower it if we see some risk. And also we are rising this exposure limit if we are seeing that it's a safe and healthy portfolio for our investors. So this is for the due diligence, and of course I'm not a risk guy. So if you want any further detail, I'm giving you an offer to have an interview with our guy from the risk department, our senior analyst, Mr. Vladimir Vala, and he can go and guide you through the due diligence process to see what are the attributes we are looking for, and what is the analysis and due diligence process of our onboarding loan originators. So you're invited into our team. Also to the recovery department, and if we can compete. I think that I would probably present it on our experience with the Polish market, with what happened on the Polish market during COVID crisis #1 in April and May last year, which from my point of view right now where we are, we started to negotiate with our loan originators, with our partners, looking for a win-win situation. So I mean, not win-win, but win-win-win, because win first for our investors, win for Bondster, win for the loan originators. Because of course we could go for some hard collection, for some legal collection steps, and after that we won't give enough room for them to earn the money and to return the money to investors in the biggest amount possible. So we are trying to give them some room for some recovery in their processes, because the legislation that was changed in the COVID crisis in Poland was pretty damaging for them, because the rate cap was new for these payday loan companies, and also the installment moratoriums. So it was like from both sides, they were this kind of part of this industry, of this lending industry, was impacted. And right now we can say that this strategy was good, was very good, because right now we are around like half of all debts already covered, and except 2 loan originators out of 6 of them, 2 loan originators who are under insolvency process, where the court has to decide. The rest of them will repay all the debts within 2021, so within this year, in 100%, in full amount. Those 2 companies, I can't say right now, because it's under the court process, under insolvency process, under this regime, and we will see. Anyway, I think this is a great success, and I will say the other part of the success is that we didn't transfer any cost of these collection processes on any of our investors. So from my point of view, this is a very, very good result, and I think it's one part of it is that we were prepared to overtake those portfolios with some collecting agencies in Poland. It was my job from November last year, when I told you I joined Bondster, to search for those possibilities to have some backup solution if they are not recovering well, and this was kind of backup. And when they are performing, they are complying with the agreement we have with them, then we are okay. And I think it's good for our investors, it's good for Bondster, it's good for them because they can survive. So that was the strategy, and we are also taking experience for our partner company Acema, because they have like 20 years of experience on the loan market, and also they have their collecting agenda processes where we can take some experience from. So from my point of view, I think we can compete Mintos, we can compete other players on the market.
Okay, thank you, Pavel, for this information. It was really a lot for me, to be honest, right now, but I think we might go deeper into that in some further interviews.
Okay.
But to recap a little bit on that again, first of all, regarding the invitation for the risk department, I will agree on that. I would be very thankful for that and appreciate it. So let's make another appointment with the risk department for another interview. Also, if my audience, so if you have any questions, maybe you can put it in the comment for the risk department. And then I will ask this in the other interview. I think, as I understood you, and this is something that's important for me to make it short, you really understand your responsibility regarding the due diligence on loan originators, because I couldn't find it again in the terms and conditions, but when I went through it, but it's really a lot, you know, and it's not always easy to understand for just a simple private investor like me. There was something written like, or I saw or understand something, I make it like that like, you are not responsible for the due diligence, but you understand your responsibility, I think.
Yeah, sure. I think it's it's kind of a lawyer talk. Of course, we are a marketplace, and you as an investor, you are making the decision where to invest under the information you see and you have. So of course we are providing as much information as possible, and of course, as we want to stay on the market, as we want to grow on the market, we want to be for our investors as transparent as possible, and of course we want to provide the loan originators who are reliable and can sustain the liquidity and the promises they are giving to our investors. So with the buybacks and with all the things, of course, there are situations like with COVID we saw in the past, and these like completely critical cases where this puts some problems when we are trying to solve it. Anyway, our main goal is for you, as our investors, to have safe investments. So that's our goal, to give you this as much as possible. So. Okay. We are going to going through the due diligence with every loan originator very carefully, setting up the exposure limits.
This is something good to hear as an investor on your platform. Yeah, for sure, that you take this responsibility and you understand it, and also the meaning for the reputation of the platform for the future developments. Then also you gave me a lot of information about the recovery process, so thank you for that. And I also made the experience, and to be honest, I was invested mainly in Microcasa. And so it was very disappointing for me in the first weeks of this COVID situation. Also, there was some interviewer statement from Microcasa. I was really like upset, and I wanted to just take my Tesla and go to this company and tell them my opinion on their statement. But anyway, after all, and after we all calmed down a bit, yeah, I made a positive experience on that because they paid back a lot, and I think also had some. So sorry I also have to say sorry about that to Jana, because I was really upset, and it was also in our WhatsApp history that I did not really agree on this first statement. But all in all, the whole team, I think it was a good job, because most of it is already paid back. Is my experience as an investor, and this is at least the most important thing, that we don't lose the money. And I think this is also something that might be good for your reputation. Also, I think we all had a lot of learnings from this COVID situation. We as private investors, because it was the first crash in P2B we experienced, a lot of us experienced, I believe. So it was a learning for us. I think it was also a learning for the loan originators. It was also a learning for the marketplaces like Bondster for the future. But I think after all, I also mentioned it in some other videos, you did a good job, yeah, so far. So let's see how it develops in the next weeks. But this leads me to the next topic, so that we make it not too long in this interview. You added in the terms that you will charge costs for recovery in future from the investors, like travel costs and so on. How can we go sure that this is appropriate? And can these costs be even more than the initial investment in a specific loan? This would be an important question for me as investor, because if it if it's more than my specific investment in a loan, it would be really, yeah, I would not like that.
Okay, let me clear this. I think that even if this is not written in the terms and condition, I think that if there are some costs with the collection process that will Bondster undertake, I think they are kind of transferable to the investors. Anyway, it's of course more safe if we have it in our terms and conditions. And I would really emphasize the word "we can," because as you know, as an investor in Polish investments which defaulted, that we didn't do it when we were able to handle these costs by ourselves. I would say on an example that very probably if we overtook this portfolio, which we can under the contracts we have with our loan originators, and start to collect the portfolio by ourselves with some collecting agency, and we had some tender with the collecting agencies in Poland already, and the bids for the price was from 8% to 15% from the cash collected. So that will probably be the fee that will be transferred to the investors, because on this point, then Bondster would donate this fee for our investors, which is not applicable. Of course, you understand that. So if we are doing these collection processes with let's say low costs and very effectively, we are not transferring any costs. If we are going in the future, if this situation happens, and we are going to use some collecting agency, some local collecting agency that will charge some fee, that fee will be transferred to the investors. And to the question whether this costs can be more, from my point of view, no way. From my experience from the loan market, of course, there has to be some cap, and maybe it's not. It was not very well introduced in the terms and conditions without any cap.
Would be great if we would have that.
Costs. I understand. but it doesn't make any sense for you to go for work where you earn 100 euro, where the travel cost will be 100 euro. So exactly. This is completely the same. From my point of view, these kind of costs can be inside, I would say, 20% limit of a maximum, and only in this cases where we use some extra costs, meaning really collecting agencies, if there is a necessity to fly to Colombia and negotiate with some lawyers or something, then probably these kind of costs will be transferred. But this, I would say, is a possibility. This is not an obligation that we will do it. And as an example, I would say really last year, a Polish portfolio, 0 was transferred to the investors. Okay. 0 of the of course, we had some costs with the lawyers. We also had some travel costs. But if this is in some, let's say, acceptable amount, we are covering it by ourselves. If it will exceed something, then we will make some of course transparent system how to deliver or to transfer these costs to the investors that are impacted by this.
Okay, thank you, Pavel. This was again a lot of very important information for me as an investor. So let me try to recap on everything I wanted to in this statement. First of all, I would appreciate very much if you could just clarify it with some cap or something, just that we can go sure that this does not extend our initial investment, which of course is obvious that it wouldn't make sense. And so I agree on your statement, and this also helps me a lot if I hear this from the CEO in a recorded interview. So thank you very much for that, but maybe an idea for the future. And also one can say that it's common right now that most platforms implement this in their terms and conditions. So maybe it would even be a plus for you if you could also make this cap into it. Yeah, I think if we are talking about like common 8% or something you told me that might happen, it would still be even profitable investment, because most of the loans are like double-digit percentage interest rate. So then of course it would not be that 12% per year or something like that, or 14. Then we make maybe 4 or 6% interest return still after recovery, which would still make sense as an investment. So I think also this makes it attractive for us investors. And finally, I want to recap on that it's again something that makes sense, because this is the reason why we investors make diversification, make our homework, make research on each loan originator by ourselves as well, because as always said, everybody is responsible by himself for his investments. We never give any advice or something like that, investment recommendation. So it makes sense not to like charge everybody for one loan originator, just only charge the one who was invested in this, because he thought, okay, I will make my investment decision is to make profit out of this maybe loan originator that pays more interest rate and is more risky. Yeah, this makes absolutely sense for me. And also I understand as a business owner that at some point you have to be profitable as a platform, because everybody needs to be profitable on the long term to survive. Yeah? And otherwise it would make sense to make a business. This leads me to an additional question I would like to ask. Are you profitable at the moment at Bondster, and when do you think you will break even?
Yeah, our plan with a break-even point is late 2022. So right now we are not. Of course, there is a revenue in Czech crowns in last year around like 15 million crowns. So that is 600,000 euro approximately. But the break-even point is planned on late 2020.
Okay, thank you for that. And I think we already covered also the next question, so I think we can skip this and go to the question on the regulation topic. In the Baltics, as you know, on a lot of platforms I'm invested, regulation is a big topic at the moment, and I'm in continuous exchange with the CEOs of these platforms, how the process is. And so I would also like to ask you, what are your ideas, or what is your development on such things like licenses and so on? What are the plans of Bondster regarding that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, we see and we analyze the EU regulation, which is going to come. I think it's more impacting really the crowd lending platforms, which Bondster is not this case. Anyway, I think it is always good to see some regulation for this market, these financial markets, to avoid any fake or scam companies, and also to bring on the market the players who want to play the serious game. So I think it's this kind of regulation is from one perspective, from this perspective, good. From the other one, of course, it brings some costs for some administration to your company. So so this is the other point of view. Anyway, for the future, we also see some opportunities in some not banking licenses at this point, but maybe a payment instrument like payment transfer instrument licenses, which under Czech law we have to be licensed for this by Czech National Bank. So of course this is some opportunity for the future, but I think in a shorter perspective we see some other challenges, like for example German, Austrian, Switzerland markets to acquire, and then of course some probably other investment instruments than these services. But we see these as opportunities for the future, but it's not a near future, like within, let's say, this year or next year.
Because as far as I know, in the Baltics, they have a deadline and they have to get in the next month this license. It must be, I think, an electronic money banking license and a brokerage license, depending on the product they offer. But so in Czech Republic, you don't need these licenses. You can continue like that.
No, yeah, it's like this. The only licensing process right now in Czech Republic from Czech National Bank is when you are the real loan originator. Then for example, ACEMA is under this license, so they have this valid license for non-banking loan originator, but Bondster is not originating or disbursing any loans, so it's not under any license process. So for the future, only the EU regulation, which is going to come and will cover some of the processes Bondster is, or maybe services Bondster is offering to the investors.
Okay, we will follow up this as well in the next interviews, I believe, and see how everything develops on that terms. Okay, then maybe another question that you might like, yeah, because it's why should investors decide to invest, especially with Bondster? You know, there are a lot of other players in the market as well that offer us great return and P2P investments. The audience knows that I personally like Bondster as a private investor so far. Let's see how it develops in the future. And they also know my reasons, especially because you have better rate interest return with much others. And also I like this diversification that you are in another country, also with this licensing process and everything. So it's always good to have some diversification in the asset allocation. But why should we trust Bondster? And what is your opinion why we should choose Bondster for our investments?
I think you have covered all the things that I would say. Firstly, I would say the diversification possibilities, because you can diversify through regions. We are on 4 continents in I think 8-10 different countries. You can diversify through the tenure of the loan, because we have the loans from the tenure of 1 month to 240. You can diversify through the collateral. So we have the collateral of a gold, of like movable assets, gold, cars. You can diversify through the real estates. Also, a lot of investments with buybacks, which is a kind of collateral, we can say, or kind of assurance. And with all these diversification possibilities, when you can diversify the risk, you have that return, which is when we counted our return from the whole history, when we compare the principal and their interest repaid to the investors, it makes 14.89%, which is quite cool on the market. And as we are a serious player, as we want to grow on other markets, as we are really responsible with our due diligence of what loan originator are we allowing to offer the loans on our platform. This mix of all these things, from my point of view, makes a great deal for our investors. So as I say, you probably covered all those things. I only repeated them in more detail, but that's from my point of view. You don't have to go to different platforms to pick and to diversify. You have it on one platform with perfect revenue.
Maybe one last question for this first interview and first approach, which will follow up with a lot of other exchange, I hope so, because this is very important for me. How do you see the future of Bondster and P2P lending in general?
Okay,
like summarize it maybe.
Yeah, if I start with the P2P, as I see all the researches and analysis through this market, I think that there's a great opportunity to grow with this market because the P2P market growth, which is like expected to be around 30% per year within the next 6 or 7 years. I think it's a great opportunity also for the investors. And for the Bondster, of course, my goal, my target is to grow faster and than the markets, to take a bigger market share. And I think that the services and what we talked about in the previous questions, I think that our offer is a fair and is good enough to beat some of the competitors and to get the bigger market share. So for the future, we plan to acquire more the regions of as I told you, Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. It's our target for next year. To start with this year, but to see the development the next year, and to come to the same growth which was before the pandemics. Because as I see the numbers in the history, when the previous team, I mean Jana, was here, the growth was perfect. So I want to continue with that growth because last year, of course, affected by pandemic, was a bit stable. Now we need to grow back.
Okay, understand. I think there would be a lot to exchange in right now still, but the interview is already like I think about 40 minutes. So maybe let's stop it for the moment here. Thank you so much for your time, Pavel. And yeah, so I hope we stay in continuous exchange, which is very important for me. And I'm also looking forward to interview with the risk department and even more to visit you in the office in the next weeks or months as soon as the pandemic makes it possible. So really looking forward to that, and thank you once more for your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you as well.